scientists really believe that there's something what we refer to usually as God. Is this metaphysical whatever acting in the world or producing the world. And the irony is, the question's really a non-starter. Science has in fact discovered God, and you can talk to the hardline atheists and they will say, it looks like science has indeed discovered God.
What's amazing about the Mandelbrot set is that you can zoom in infinitely and you'll keep finding new things. Over here you can keep finding more and more copies of the Mandelbrot set no matter how far you zoom in. You could even zoom in really close to something like this, and it takes a while, but look, there's another little baby Mandelbrot set. Alternatively, you could go into this region and find completely different things. On the left side of this thing, you'll find these weird elephant-shaped things that have spirals that go on forever, and you could even zoom into the side of one of the spirals and find new spirals that repeat infinitely and keep generating new infinite patterns.
The moment that you are born and they get your child's footprints, let me tell you what they do, which is why I told you about getting birth certificates and social security cards, not to do that. What they do is, once they get that footprint, after they get that footprint, then they're doing astrology on that child. They have top-notch astrologers. When they do that top-notch astrology on that child, they're going to be able to look at you and see what you're going to become in the future.
Evil people live by the power of the demonic. Judas Iscariot, demon-possessed. These are people that they have opened themselves up to evil to such a degree that the way they think is completely corrupted. The way they believe and behave is very dark and dangerous. And if you're dealing with them, they almost start to confuse you because they've done such a masterful job of deceiving themselves that they start to deceive you. And you wonder if you're the crazy or the bad.
Waiting for our day. And when the call is given, millions of us will be released. And they looked at me and said, you believe in revivals and you believe in Pentecost and the power of God. You believe in all that. We believe in the Black Awakening.
Look at how happy we were.
We have a beautiful family.
We are happy. And that's all you can do is dwell upon all the good memories you have. That's why it's so important to take pictures. It's so important to hug with each other, tell each other how much you love them. Even if it's out of the blue, just grab your loved one and tell them what they mean to you. Because you're going to regret it one day. You don't want to regret it. You just don't want to regret it. All I have is these pictures to look at. I don't have a physical presence to hold on to.
Welcome back to Highly Motivated. My name is Renee. Today, we are going to be covering several instances where scientists and mathematicians literally proved the existence of our God. We're also going to be discussing who actually benefits the most when it comes to our child support system. You're going to be surprised to hear it is not the child, nor is it their mother. And then I was asked a question in the comments on our previous video, and they wanted to know who created God. I did my best to answer the question, and unfortunately, they felt like I was kind of avoiding it, which I was not. My answer, and it's still my answer, is that God is omnipotent, omnipresent, all-knowing, eternal. Eternal means no beginning, no end. And the idea that something has to have a beginning and an end is one of the laws of the confines of our third dimensional space. And our creator does not exist within this third dimensional space, with the exception of inside us. So hopefully I'm able to clear it up a little bit more for you. Without further ado, get comfortable, get your snacks, and let's get started. First video is comparing the economy back when boomers were in their 30s versus the economy that millennials in their 30s are dealing with today.
1980, 1990, and 2000, because this is when the boomers were in their 30s, depending on when they were born, compared to us millennials today. Housing prices, $48K, $76K, $105,000. Interest rates, 13.7, 10%, 8%. Principal and interest on those with a 20% down payment, $446, $534, $616. Average rent, $243, $447, and $602. Median household income.
Can you imagine paying under $300 for rent? Oh my word, it would be amazing.
$21,000, $30,000, $42,000. Why am I sharing all this? Because collectively, no matter when you were born, boomers, whether you were born in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, you were spending on average about 18% of your income on rent and or housing. Just 18%. And I will say in the 1980s, the older boomers in 1980, with those high interest rates, you were spending about 25% of your income. So you felt a little pressure. But
let me just say that the median rental payment was like $100 at least or more less than my car payment today. So
if you didn't want to buy a home,
crazy.
You could rent for just 14% of your income. Now let's fast forward to today. The millennials in their 30s, 2023, the average home's $436. The average rent is $2,000. Interest rates are 7.5%. And the average income for a median household is $81,000. So to own a house, which you couldn't even qualify for this house, by the way, but it'd be 36% of a family's income. And if they were forced to rent, it's 29%. 1980, 1990, and 2000, because...
I mean, it's a really alarming time. I'm not going to lie. I feel very sorry for my child's generation, Gen Z. And I understand why they're doing this whole quiet quitting, because I feel like they feel a little bit hopeless. A lot of people are working their butts off and they still can't barely afford to even think about moving out, or let alone buy a house. It's just it just doesn't seem attainable anymore. Whereas in the past, it was always the obvious progression, right? You got older, you bought a house. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get older and I hope I can afford a house. That was never what people thought. It was like, oh, I'm going to get older and I'm going to get that house. Now we're going to own nothing and be happy. No. Now, this gentleman is discussing Title 4D. I suggest, whether you are a man or a woman, if you have kids or you're in a relationship or you are thinking about using the family court system to mediate between you and your child's father, I would really rethink that position and do everything you can to just mediate between each other. Put your feelings aside, put what's best for your child first, because this does not benefit either of you nor your child. So listen to what this man says.
The state is profiting off of child support?
Correct. And in most states, the Judicial Retirement Fund is funded from this money. So the more child support that's issued from the family courts, the larger the judicial retirement. It's a massive program. It's the size of the largest defense programs. So the incentives are absolutely huge.
For every $3 they spend, they get $2 towards their retirement. That's a huge incentive to take men for amounts that they can barely afford. I've seen judges make judgments based off a woman's hearsay, what she says the guy makes, with no proof whatsoever. And the judge says, well, you're this age and you have this many kids, so you should be making this much. So this is your child support and you can figure it out. And then when they can't pay it, what's next? They take their license away from them. Then after that, they put them in a jail cell. Now, what happens to a mother who doesn't want to take care of her kid? Oh, she can give her child up for adoption and have no penalty whatsoever. She can wash her hands of a child if she wants to. If a man, now I don't think any parent should wash their hands of their child. I think that's wrong, period. That's your seed. You should take care of it. But I also think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I think a lot of us can relate to this next one.
Since we're all talking about math, let's talk toxic family math. Toxic family math is when no one ever asks you your side of the story about how you fell out with a family member. They just run with the side that they heard because they already were looking for a reason to not like you. Toxic family math is sweeping everything under the rug and then labeling you problematic because you want to actually have a conversation about it. Toxic family math is that no one can ever be accountable for the shit they did, but they persecute you for the shit you did, and they never get over it. Toxic family math. You see the dysfunction, you are the cycle breaker. Guess what? No one likes you. They're going to keep their distance from you. They ain't going to invite you to shit, and they going to talk about you all the time. You are the problem because they are perfect. That's it. That's toxic family math for you. Great day. Since we're all talking about...
Have any of you experienced that type of family dynamic? I want to know. Let me know down below. And now we're going to hear about the waterfall method. This is a method that was employed by the Rockefeller family to help build their generational wealth.
What is the waterfall method? The waterfall method is every single individual of the Rockefeller family got a very large life insurance policy put on them. The beneficiaries of those life insurance policies always tied back to the trust. And then inside of the trust was a cash value life insurance policy, which is used as the family bank. Now the family bank is inside the trust, so it acts as like a family vault. Now all the family members can take loans from the cash value life insurance throughout their whole life. When they die and pass away, that death benefit pays it all back, therefore replenishing all the funds that they use throughout their life. And with every single generation, the family trust just keeps getting poured in with more and more and more and more money, therefore making the family richer and more powerful, therefore creating generational wealth. What is the...
Yes, also these loans are non-taxable. And this is something that anyone can do, but is little known on purpose because obviously they want to keep this information to themselves.
Watch this video with me. Who created God? Let's watch it.
Who created God? You see, many Christians assert the fact that God created everything. He created the land, the seas, the animals, the stars in the sky, and people with their souls and hearts. However, if everything we see had a beginning or a cause for its existence, shouldn't God also need a cause for his existence? Look at this conversation, for example. Jimmy here says, God created everything. And Billy says, okay, cool, but who created God? And Jimmy's response, well, everything needs a cause for its existence, but not God, because he was always there. And that doesn't sit well with a lot of people. So in an effort to dive into this topic and provide an answer to both Christians and skeptics, we will be answering the question, who created God, through 3 points. Point number 1, in order for people to exist, something needs to be eternal. William Lane Craig in his book On Guard talks about Al-Ghazali's idea that you cannot go through an infinite number of events one at a time, and it implies that there needs to be a beginning. Now let me explain. Let's look at this pencil that this student is using. Now, it didn't just pop into existence. This pencil was bought by this student's mother before it was brought to school. But before that, this pencil was in a box being shipped to the store. And before that, the pencil was being manufactured in a factory. And before that, the materials to make pencils were being shipped in trucks. And before that, the materials were being gathered by the workers, and this goes on and on. The idea is that these events are like dominoes. Now, instead of pencils, let's look at the Christian God of the Bible. Now, someone may ask, well, who created God? And for the sake of building an argument, let's just say that the Christian God and Jesus were created by a greater God. So let's call this God, God 2. So God 2 created Christian God. Nice. Problem solved. But actually, another question arises. Who then created God 2? Well, actually, the answer's pretty easy. God 3 obviously created
Then
God
you
2.
end up in circular reasoning.
And this creates a bigger problem. Because if everything needs a cause for its existence, then us as people could never exist. Why? Let's look at ourselves, the existence of people as being a domino. And the Christian God who created us, he's the domino before us. And God 2 is the domino before Christian God, and God 3 is before God 2, and so on. Now, if everything always needed a cause for its existence, then there would be an unending or infinite number of dominoes. And if there was an infinite number of dominoes, we couldn't be here because nothing could ever begin. And for people who believe in the Big Bang Theory, this is still a problem. Because let's just say that the Big Bang does happen, the question still arises, how did it start? No. The very fact that we are here and alive is proof that someone or something was eternal. Because if everything needed a cause for its existence, then there would be an infinite number of events that would need to happen in order for us to get here. And if there was an infinite number of events before us, things could never begin. In order for us to be here, there needed to be a starting force to push down the first domino. Point number 2, the universe can't be eternal. Science tells us that our universe is actually expanding and that our universe has a limited amount of energy. Now, if our universe is expanding and we were to reverse time, our universe would just be a little bit smaller than it is today at a single point. In addition to that, think of the energy that's being used in the universe as a fuel tank to a car. If right now our fuel tank is half empty, then there needed to be a time in which the tank was actually full. All of that to say, the fact that our universe is expanding right now and has a limited amount of energy that's being used in our solar system and galaxies, all of this points us to the fact that our universe had a beginning and therefore could not be eternal. Point number 3, the God of the Bible claims to be eternal. Psalm chapter 90 verse 2, before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. If you start from this infinite period of time here and travel to this infinite period of time over here, God was always there. He had no beginning and has no end. He always was, always is, and always will be. The God of the Bible is eternal in nature, which means that time doesn't apply to him because he is the God who created time and is therefore timeless.
Watch this video with me.
Exactly. And I guess really the simple answer is the God that created everything is not bound by the laws that he created. If that was something that had been on your mind before, hopefully that clears it up a little bit for you, all to bring glory to our God and hopefully bring at least one more person every day closer to him. Now we have an interesting Hollywood conspiracy regarding Kenan and Kel and Good Burger 2.
Hey, do y'all remember when Orlando Brown said this?
You know, when you do sell your soul, you are allowed to live forever.
So tell me why I come across this trailer for Good Burger 2. And I'm looking at the trailer like, something not right. So as I go read the comments, I see that somebody thinking the same thing that I was thinking. They did not age. And if you really just take a close look at them, you will see what I mean. So we all know that aging is unnatural. Our lifespan is way longer than what they are telling us. That's why they trick people into thinking they have more than one birthday so you can participate in this ritual. Every single year, you celebrate your birthday and allow people to chant this happy birthday song to you. Once you blow out the candles and make a wish, you are confirming that you are getting older. So they lied to us about aging and what it really is. And you had some people that was within the industry trying to let y'all know about this.
You had how many birthdays?
Me? What do you think?
Well, I know that you had one birthday.
Yeah.
You were born on a certain day.
Absolutely.
You had no more birthdays after that. So I don't celebrate birthdays, so that stops me from counting days, which stops me from counting time, which allows me to still look the same as I did 10 years ago, just like that lady here.
y'all gotta realize what these people be actually saying. Folks was laughing, but he was dead ass. Aging is unnatural. You don't supposed to age like you think you do. Now, there's so many ways that you can naturally reverse aging. Eating completely healthy and working out is a good way for you to reverse aging. If you do that, you can literally be the age 40 but be looking like you're 20. But don't forget, there are so many unnatural ways you can reverse aging as well. And that's what a lot of these celebrities do. They use the unnatural way. And there's so many, but selling your soul is one of them.
Hi, I'm Pete Davidson, and I will be hosting the season premiere of SNL with Ice Spice.
Woo, look at us, 3 Gen Z icons.
Aren't you like 40?
No. Long time ago, I met this guy and made a deal where I get to stay 25 years old for forever.
What guy?
Tall fella, horns, red fur, I don't know, little hooves.
Keen, that's the devil, dude.
What? I thought it was like a Times Square Elmo or something.
So yeah, signing one of those blood contracts is one unnatural way you can reverse aging. And that's what a lot of these celebrities do. They sign those blood contracts, and when they do, they get to live forever. It's no way these folks can be their ancestors when they literally look identical. A lot of these folks been around, and they sold their soul a long time ago.
Dudes that look like you. So they just think that you've been on the earth since you've just been around, there's just different generations.
See, listen, I'm a firm believer that if they go as far as to point it out and joke about it, that there's something about it that has a glimmer of truth to it.
I just wanted to show you just in case. We're all stardust, baby. I know, that's it. You know. What is my name? Look at this. Okay, so what do we got? What do you think? What is this? The beard and the cheekbones. And the forehead. Look at that guy. That's a French actor, Paul Monet. Yeah, we have the same foreheadish eyebrow, I think. But that's the real... Oh. No, I kind of see a little bit of it. Got the eyes.
Don't forget, they always tell you a truth within a joke. Everybody that's in the industry, they all know what's really going on. A lot of these celebrities been sold they soul a long time ago. They just transferred their consciousness into a new body. Because it's no way every celebrity got an ancestor that they look exactly like. Don't forget about the human sleeves. They already told us how they can transfer our consciousness and give us a whole brand new body to our liking. I got way more to say on this topic. I'm gonna make a part 2 because I'm running out of time. Peace and love to all I want. TikTok, this video is fake and scripted. Y'all don't gotta believe nothing I'm telling you. Ashe.
What do you guys think about that? For me, I'm wondering if it isn't just a way that they created to give the Nephilim spirits and the other abominations bodies, right? Because those spirits are stuck on Earth. What do you guys think? I want to know in the comments.
Get these gems. So you guys understand the reason why that there is a 1% that exists. You know why that 1% exists? Because of the one thing that you don't know nothing about. They utilize a universal law, and that's what keeps them from gaining their karma. Because they're operating under universal law. And because you are ignorant to universal law. As I told you once before, it is your ignorance that is killing you. They are utilizing universal law as to the reason why they don't get their karma. They know it better than you do.
Yes.
And they implement it in everything that they do. The moment that you are born and they get your child's footprints, let me tell you what they do. Which is why I told you about getting birth certificates and social security cards, not to do that. What they do is, once they get that footprint, after they get that footprint, then they're doing astrology on that child. They have top-notch astrologers. When they do that top-notch astrology on that child, they're going to be able to look at you and see what you're going to become in the future. They take a piece of your DNA They put you in a database at the Vatican. They put you under a celestial QV trust, the Vatican Trust. They create a profile on your life. And based upon what comes out for you, because now your parents and their ignorance contracted you to this construct and put you in a state of property.
Wow. Just like in the days of Jesus, they were using astrologers to try to figure out which boy was going to be the Messiah. That's pretty fascinating, because if that has any bit of truth to it, that means when they find someone that is meant to do something really powerful for the kingdom of God, that they can use witchcraft and things like that against you and your family without you even knowing. And you'll just think that bad things are happening to you, the addiction spirit, all these things. But to think that they could just be done to you. But in the end, even if that is the case, they're not more powerful than God. They're never going to be able to take you away from him. Because I personally, I definitely went through a lot of different things, some self-inflicted, others not. I take full responsibility, but everything is spiritual before it's physical. Before it manifests in the physical world, it was there in the spirit. This next video is wild. This mathematical equation called the Mandelbrot set literally proves the existence of our God.
The best way to prove the existence of God is by using math. This is going to blow your mind. Let's go ahead and play it.
Many atheists think there's no reason to believe in God because we have science to explain everything in the universe. It's true that science is able to explain the natural world, that's what it's for, but by definition, science cannot tell us whether there's anything outside or above the natural world. In other words, whether there's anything supernatural. Generally, when people speak of God, they mean a supernatural, all-knowing mind who is everywhere and can do anything. So what is math, and what does it have to do with God? Math is about numbers and information about those numbers and ways numbers connect to each other, but where do we find all this math? We can't see math, we can't touch math, we can't taste math. Math is only in the mind. We find it simply by thinking about it and figuring more and more things out. But wait, math also explains things. Math can explain everything from simple counting to the movement of planets. For anything you can think of, there's a bunch of math that explains what's going on, even down to the atomic level. So if math is only in our minds, but it also explains the natural world, then where does it come from? There's two possibilities, really. One is that math is just something we invented to explain what we observe in the natural world, and that would mean the origin of math is natural. But the other possibility is that math is already there because it controls the universe, and we've discovered it, and if that's true, then the origin of math is supernatural. Here's why the latter option is correct. Math contains infinite information. There's an infinite number of numbers, each with their own individual properties, and there's an infinite number of numbers in between any two numbers. And we keep discovering things. Pi, which is the number that explains the area of a circle, has an infinite number of digits that we keep discovering by doing calculations. If we were just making this stuff up, we could make pi be whatever we want it to be, but we can't do that because we know that that's not true. We know that all this information is out there somewhere, but it can't be in our physical universe because our universe is finite and math is infinite. That means math contains every possible combination of numbers, and if we use numbers as code for letters, then math contains every possible combination of letters as well. That means every book that has ever been written already exists encoded in math somewhere. In fact, every book that possibly could be written already exists in math. And if we use numbers as code for particles and their locations, then you could say there's an exact copy of our universe encoded in math. But there's also more stuff in math, so that's why math can't possibly be contained just within our universe. But that's just the beginning. There's many pieces of evidence in math to show that math has a designer. Here's an example. One time someone discovered that this simple equation makes a very interesting shape when you graph it in the complex plane, and this is called the Mandelbrot set. But people have analyzed this shape and have found some very scary things about it. it. What's amazing about the Mandelbrot set is that you can zoom in infinitely and you'll keep finding new things. Over here you can keep finding more and more copies of the Mandelbrot set no matter how far you zoom in. You could even zoom in really close to something like this, and it takes a while, but look, there's another little baby Mandelbrot set. Alternatively, you could go into this region and find completely different things. On the left side of this thing, you'll find these weird elephant-shaped things that have spirals that go on forever, and you could even zoom into the side of one of the spirals and find new spirals that repeat infinitely and keep generating new infinite patterns like this. Or you could go on the other side of the elephants and find these weird seahorse-shaped things that have different kinds of spirals that are connected to each other, and once again, they keep going on forever. You can zoom in infinitely, and you'll keep finding new patterns, but like I said, it's a different type of pattern. Seriously, anytime you explore the Mandelbrot set, you can find brand new things, possibly things that no human has ever seen before, because like I said, there is infinite complexity and infinite information in this one shape. That's why this little shape is so scary. We did not invent this because we discovered it by accident, but we did not discover it in our universe. It has infinite complexity, so it can't possibly be in our universe because the universe doesn't have infinites. We discovered it just by calculating it. So where the heck did this thing come from? Basic common sense says that someone designed this, but no human designed it. Like we said, math only exists in the mind, so its origin must also be a mind. Math contains infinite information, so this mind must be all-knowing. Math controls the universe, so this mind must also be all-powerful. And math is beyond and outside of our natural world, so this mind must be supernatural. And we have just described God. All these numbers and mathematical facts exist in the infinite mind of God, but it's not just mathematical truth that exists in the mind of God, but also moral truth and any kind of truth at all. Goodness, truth, and beauty are just mere opinions of the human mind, unless there is a supreme mind, God, who overrules all human opinions.
The best way to prove the existence of God is by using math.
Have you ever heard of this Mandelbrot set? I can tell you one thing, that if somebody would have said that you could explain, describe, or figure out anything that exists in our universe with math when I was younger, I may have paid attention just like a little bit more. Missing people in national parks. The top map shows mysterious cases of people vanishing without a trace. The bottom map shows America's largest cave networks. Now, right off the bat, if you look over like on the East Coast, that matches up pretty closely. What do you think?
But once I'll say it again. What the fuck is in them woods? Y'all look at this map. Holy shit. Top is missing people, bottom is the underground cave system. What the actual fuck? You are connected. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what you say. I need y'all to really, really look at this area, okay? Too close. That's entirely too close. The gag for me, though, is that even though California doesn't have that many underground cave systems mapped, at least, look at all the missing people that still match up. We don't know the official number, but as of right now, David Paulides is up to like 1,600 people missing in national parks. And I really think this has something to do with it now. Look at this matchup right here, though, and holy shit, look at that. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that this is not connected to the missing 1,600 people. Back at it with what the fuck is in them woods.
Right, but 1,600 people in how long? Like the recorded history? 1,600 people this year alone. Anybody missing is a tragedy, but context would help quite a bit.
Watch this. We're from out of town, and we need a couple dollars to catch the bus. Can you help us?
Man, I'm not here on the street myself, bro. I'm out here struggling. Look at me. I'm willing to get it to you to help you a little bit, but I'm out here in the street too, bro. I ain't got nothing. You got nobody? It ain't much. That's all I got.
Why are you helping me?
That's a dumbass question, man. You said you need to get home, right?
Yes.
Okay, so go home.
I want to give it back to you.
Why are you gonna give it back to me? You said you need to go home.
Take it.
You said you wanted to go home and you're giving it back to me. So what's going on? I mean, you
You want to say something?
Since you were willing to help us out, I want to give you $500.
For what? Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
Dude, I did a lot of prison time, but don't play with me. I'm gonna take this now, man. Like, this is no joke?
No joke.
I really appreciate this, man. I'm really struggling in life. I'm really sorry for talking to you guys like that. I feel like I'm a really bad person. I really appreciate it, man. No one believes in me, and I get pushed away a lot. God bless you, man.
God bless you too, all right?
So warm.
That's heartbreaking to hear him say, I get pushed away a lot. You never know if that homeless guy or that person asking you for change is an angel, and you could be in the middle of a test. Always do what's right. Always do what's kind, even when you don't feel like it. And especially when no one is looking. That's true integrity. Are you the same person when you are alone and no one's looking that you are when you are being watched? Now, I know I promised you a couple of different scientists proving the existence of God, and here is another one.
This MIT scientist is going to explain the existence of God, and it is incredible. Let's watch it.
Background from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, bachelor's, master's, PhD, 7 years in the physics staff, seen a whole range of atomic bombs detonated, moved to Israel, met my wife, Barbara Sofer, a great writer. And one of the questions that I'm asked as a scientist is, how can a scientist really believe that there's something that we refer to usually as God? Is this metaphysical whatever acting in the world or producing the world? And the irony is, the question's really a non-starter. Science has in fact discovered God, and you can talk to the hardline atheists and they will say, it looks like science has indeed discovered God. And how would that be? Well, if you take the trouble of going to the web and there type in WMAP, the initials for a satellite, it's a diagram that shows the development of the universe from the creation over time. It's a timeline. Every word on that diagram comes from the NASA site. It is the condensed knowledge of the scientific community of how the universe created and how it got to where we are today. Each of the lines, the vertical lines, is another billion years. Okay, you start from a burst of energy at the extreme left side of the diagram, and you end up at the far end with the oval. The oval is to indicate expansion in all directions. Of course, because it's a timeline, we can't show that on a single piece of paper. We see here, most amazingly, that on the extreme left edge, it shows a beginning to the universe. Now go back less than 50 years. If I were teaching that at Tech, a person could lose tenure saying that there was a creation of the universe. It sounds like it's Bible. Because less than 50 years ago, the overwhelming scientific opinion was the universe is eternal. There was never a beginning. The Bible is wrong from the very first sentence. And then we discovered, suddenly, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, Bell Labs in New Jersey, the northeast of the U.S., discovered the echo of the Big Bang, the energy left over, which George Gamow, 60 years ago, predicted that if there had been a universe created hot and small, it would have exploded, and the energy would get more and more dilute. And Penzias and Wilson, these Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, discover this energy that had been predicted overnight. The Bible got it right. There was a beginning to the universe. Now, the black in the diagram is nothing. It's not a vacuum. Vacuums are within that diagram, within that cone of expansion. Vacuums are empty space, and space is something. The black of the paper around the diagram is nothing. It doesn't fit in our human brain because humans think in a box made of time, space, and matter/energy. No human, as clever as they might be, as expansive as they might be, thinks out of that box. How are we going to have this idea of is there a God or not? Notice that the creation force isn't a three-letter word, G-O-D. If you look at the words carefully, it's a quantum fluctuations. That understanding was first brought down by Ed Tryon, brilliant human being, in the journal Nature almost 40 years ago. The universe allows creation of something from nothing, provided you have the laws of nature. The quantum fluctuation. Tryon realized, and he published in the journal Nature, one of the two leading peer-reviewed journals in the world, that you can create something from absolute nothing, provided you've got the laws of nature, quantum physics and the laws of relativity. In other words, the laws of nature. So look what science has discovered. We can create the universe from absolute nothing, provided we have the forces of nature. Now, the laws of nature, the forces of nature aren't physical. They act on the physical. So if they create the universe, that means they predate the universe. Wow. So now we have a set of forces, we call them the laws of nature, that are not physical, that are able to act on the physical. They create the physical from absolute nothing. And they predate the universe, which means they predate our understanding of time. Put that together, it sounds very familiar. If you haven't noticed it, that's the biblical definition of God.
This MIT science.
Wow. Have you ever heard that broken down like that? I want to know what you guys think down below. We have to remember that a lot of these theories were presented at a time when the technology to prove these theories was non-existent to the regular person. If it existed, we didn't have access to it. And as time has progressed and technology has gotten greater, instead of disproving God, more and more and more, he is being proven to be real. And so now the question is not, is he real, but do you want to serve him?
Evil people live by the power of the demonic. Judas Iscariot, demon-possessed. These are people that they have opened themselves up to evil to such a degree that the way they think is completely corrupted. The way they believe and behave is very dark and dangerous. And if you're dealing with them, they almost start to confuse you because they've done such a masterful job of deceiving themselves that they start to deceive you. And you wonder if you're the crazy or the bad one. Some of you have dealt with an evil person and you didn't know that they were evil until it was that day. You're like, well, I thought we were friends. Oh no. I thought we were business partners. Oh no. I thought we were married. Oh no. Evil people are very covert. You can tell them information, they won't tell you information. You can give them access, they're not going to be honest with you. Okay? I can sense it in the room. How many of you guys right now, somebody comes to mind, you're like, yeah, they were evil, and I didn't know. Evil people are not beyond help, they're beyond your help. Unless God shows up, they are not going to change. This would be like the Apostle Saul. He's murdering people. Jesus literally has to come down from heaven, knock him off his horse, blind him. Literally, Jesus was the only one who could fix Paul. If you're dealing with an evil person, they are intentionally dangerous. It says here that they make plans for evil. A foolish person, when they do something wrong, is it intentional or accidental? Accidental. Foolish people have not learned that cause and effect are related. You drove my car and you ran it out of gas and then you left it and you don't know where you left it. And you're like, sorry, man, I forgot. They didn't mean to. They're just stupid. They didn't wake up in the day and plot to ruin your life. They just accidentally do it. Evil people, it's malicious, it's intentional, and it's not accidental. And oftentimes, these are people that have been through a lot of trauma in their life. They've been through hardship or pain or abuse or loss. And they're broken. They're not well. And as a result of that, they feel like whatever they say or do is justified because of all the pain and suffering they've had. They're very low on empathy, very low on compassion. If you're doing business with somebody who's purely evil, they're going to squeeze you for everything. It's a win-lose. If you're in a relationship with this person, they're going to make it very painful for you. And if you're going to try to do life with this person, they are going to make sure that they're always winning, you're always losing, and that your life is not enjoyable and their life is controlled by you. If you have a relationship with an evil person who works through fear, the condition of that relationship is anxious. Like, if you're around that person, it's anxiety. It's stressful. If you know you're going to bump into that person at work, just all morning, you're just sort of tightened chest, dreading the encounter. If it's Thanksgiving and they're coming over for dinner, you're just not looking forward to it. You're just trying to figure out how to endure it. It's an anxious presence. And it's a stressful relationship. Wisdom is not intelligence. Because let me ask you this. Does our world value wisdom or intelligence? Intelligence. Can you be evil and intelligent? Oh, yeah. I mean, the most evil people sometimes are the most intelligent. And so don't just trust people because they're smart. Trust people because they're wise. And to be wise may not mean you have the highest IQ, but you have humility. And so if evil people live by the power of demonic forces, foolish people live by the power of their sinful flesh, wise people live by the power of the Holy Spirit. You can't be wise without the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
You could be smart, you can be intelligent, you can be capable, and you can be gifted, but you can't be wise.
The Holy Spirit teaches all things.
Relationships based upon their character, not whether or not they're a biological relative. Do you naturally become more wise, or do you naturally become more evil? Which way does it go? Evil. So the longer you endure or tolerate a fool, the higher the propensity that they're going to become evil. How many of you have seen a guy who's evil, but he started out as a fool? But he was a fool for so long that it just kind of got worse and darker. You're like, well, he would drink a lot, and then he became an alcoholic, and then he became a drug addict, and then he became a thief to fund his drug habit. You're like, whoa, that went from foolish, a little bit of over drinking, to evil thievery. Evil people live by the...
And you can see that if everybody who ends up with a demonic force driving them ends up in the same progression, there's something to that. And I was an addict for, I would say, probably 7 years of my life, full blown, doing hard, the one that starts with an H and the one that starts with an M, on a daily basis. And I tell you, the only one and the only reason I am here today and the only reason I am sober and my life has completely changed is because of Jesus. I did not do this by myself. I'm an entirely new creature. Now, this next video talks about a stone that was found in Egypt that talks about the people of Yahweh. Now, I'm sure you've noticed I have a few of this gentleman's clips in my video today, and feel free to check him out. I just recently found his TikTok. His name is Jesse.s.bean.
Check this video out with me. One of the oldest stones in Egypt mentions the people of Yahweh. Let's watch it.
Land of the nomads of Yahweh. It dates to the end of the 15th century BC. It's over 3,400 years old, and that makes it the oldest mention in an inscription of the name of the God of Israel. Here we have a perfect example of something that was found through archaeology, correlating perfectly with what we read in our Bibles. In this case, according to biblical chronology, the Bible says that the Israelites are wandering in the wilderness for 40 years at the latter half of the 15th century BC. Here we have an inscription from the Egyptian pharaoh Amenhotep III that dates to the end of the 15th century BC. The Bible describes the wandering Israelites, the nomadic Israelites, as moving around with their God Yahweh, who is with them by day in a cloud, at night in a pillar of fire. And so what better way for the Egyptian pharaoh Amenhotep III to describe this people than the way that he does right here, nomads of Yahweh.
Check this.
Nomads of Yahweh. If that is not a proof, this next video is Russ Dizdar, The Black Awakening.
You have no idea how many, you have no idea what's coming. We smell Christian blood. We are waiting for our day. And when the call is given, millions of us will be released. And they looked at me and said, you believe in revivals and you believe in Pentecost and the power of God. You believe in all that. We believe in the Black Awakening. So I look at you or I look here?
It's up to you.
Okay.
So, all right. What is the Black Awakening?
It's related to the red horse prophecy in Revelation. It's related to 2 Thessalonians 2, when it says about the day of the Lord, the parousia. That day will not occur until the apocalypse of the Antichrist and the apostasia, the word rebellion or revolt. That's all really defined in the prophecy of the red horse. But here's where the term came from and why I used it purposely. When I started dealing with ritually abused individuals, then we dealt with military-oriented, highly trained, programmed shooters and assassins inside of them. When we began to deal with them, I dealt with someone from Fort Bragg for quite a while and a few others. We're sitting in a lake, Conneaut Lake. They reached over and ripped open my shirt to see if I was wired, if I was wiring and recording them. And they were the most sophisticated satanic warrior type person. They knew 5-6 languages. They knew the ancient Twilight languages. They knew how to conjure. They knew how to use Belteshazzar, Okwam, all these old Pictish languages of the Druids to summon. They are the real Luciferian. They've been through many human sacrificial things. So they sat there to tell me some of those things, what they've been involved with, how they sacrifice a human. I'm listening to all this stuff from them. And then they said to me, you have no idea, Russ, how many of us there are out there. How many satanic, they use the term, chosen ones. You have no idea how many. You have no idea what's coming. We smell Christian blood. We are waiting for our day. And when the call is given, millions of us will be released. And they looked at me and said, you believe in revivals and you believe in Pentecost and the power of God. You believe in all that. We believe in the Black Awakening, a multi-continental release of power to activate the program demonized, where they've weaponized the demonic powers to these super soldiers.
Are they waiting for a specific time to unleash their power?
Yeah, they are, because they have to do it at the moment the Antichrist is, like you read in 2 Thessalonians 2, that it's caught the echo, the restrainer is holding back the apocalypse of the Antichrist, the unveiling in his movement. So right now he's held restrained. Soon as he who restrains is removed, soon as that occurs, we have White Horse, the release of the Antichrist. Instantly, we have the release of the red. It says the whole earth. Arene, peace is taken from the whole earth, and all of a sudden, it doesn't give the details, but all of a sudden, on a global scale, people are released to begin to, and the Greek word is svadzo, slaughter, begin to slaughter people. It's used of animal ritual butchery to begin to slaughter individuals. That's exactly how they defined it to me back in the 90s. And we've heard this again and again and again. So that scenario fits the Masonic version of Chaos Before a New Order. It fits Father Meridon from the Cathedral of the Black Goat, his book, The Devil's Bible.
Now, if the timeline that he's going by, the body of Christ will not be here to see any of this. We will be able to watch from heaven, but we will not be on earth anymore at this time, according to what the Bible says, pre-tribulation rapture.
Fits that scenario too. So some of the oldest, darkest occultists, the idea of chaos first, a collapsing of everything so that a new order can rise, that's all by design. And we've been given the heads up in prophecy, but all prophecy has boots on the ground. It'll all eventually happen. So I do believe that millions and millions of these trained, programmed, altered, demonized super soldiers, whether we want to say it or not, they believe they're being raised to help bring the Antichrist in. When I was in England just a few months ago, their top guy that deals with SRA, Wilfred Wong, 25 years. So first time I meet him, I pull him aside and I said, listen, you've been doing this 25 years, yeah? I said, you know all about programming and demons, all that? Yes. I said, I looked right at him and I said, Wilfred, why are they here in England? Instantly, he said, they are here to collapse our government. They are here to help bring in and usher in the Antichrist in a new order. He didn't know me. He already knew. That's true in Germany when we were in Germany, when we went to Wadelsburg Castle. That's true in Poland when we went there. That's true in Switzerland. It's true in Canada. So when we talk about our research in 38 years worldwide, there may be well over 100 million generations of them, and if even half, or even if 10% were intact, like say the United States, remember the shooter in Vegas? Look what he did. Look what that guy did. Okay, notice what would happen if 10,000 of them, or like Colorado Holmes, or like.
And how could they be turned on? Frequencies through these towers. I mean, you can't really say that these ideas are ridiculous to think of at this point.
Garrett in Arizona. What if 10,000 of them were released in 1 week? That's their plot plan, and biblical prophecies ahead of that to say here is what is going to happen, and from that a global monetary collapse, and from that's all that chaos is coming. So Revelation 13, a whole new order with the Antichrist can come.
Scary stuff.
Yeah, can be. It's scary for the world. For us, yeah. We know no matter what. Yeah,
emboldened with the Holy Spirit.
And this is why it's so important to get close to Jesus now, during this time of grace. You don't want to wait until it's too late and you see your loved ones who were trying to tell you gone, and you're like, oh, here I am. You know what's next. Do you see your loved ones going up in the clouds? That's going to be a hard day for some people who did not want to listen. We are going to end the video with this story. This widower breaks down on a plane and teaches another passenger a very important life lesson. I went into the comments to just double check that this was not a skit, and everything that I was reading, and including the original poster, they said that this was not a skit. This was an actual encounter that happened on a plane. So let's check it out.
I told you, why didn't you just check it? You know, like.
No, sir.
Just check
Excuse me, sir.
I'm sorry. I mean, is it so hard to check your luggage?
It's so hard to see. The bag needs to either go under your seat or in kind of a bottom.
Well, this is why we should have checked the luggage. I told you. There's not even any room left up there.
Certainly, we can check this.
It's too late.
Well, I can look for some room up here.
I mean,
what
do you
is-
need
what
all
is
the
the
things
issue?
on this trip? We're there for 2
You
days.
can't fly with a bag on
We're
your
there
lap.
for 2 days.
I need them to put a bag either under a seat or in above compartment.
There's just not any room left.
Look, sir, I'll take the bag. Okay, there's nothing to be hyper and upset about. Just sit down, enjoy the flight. I got it. At the end of the flight, I'll give you the bag.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's not important.
Thank you. Please buckle your seatbelt.
I mean, seriously, 2 days we're there. You need 7 shoes?
Yes, actually, I do need 7 shoes. I didn't want to be in the middle. Here I am, stuck in the middle. You just have the end seat.
I mean, you're always on the end seat. Can I have the end seat for once?
I'm never on the end seat. I'm
Always.
No, I'm always in the middle because I'm smaller than you.
No, that's you're always on the. Now you're being president.
Excuse me.
What?
If she wants to sit in the seat, just let her sit in the seat. It's not important. If that makes her happy, let her sit in the seat. These moments in life are very important, and you may regret it one day.
Seriously? Listen to this anymore and tell me like that. Not a therapist.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Just let her sit in the seat, man. Yeah? If she's happy, you're happy, right? Are you happy when she's happy? You are, right?
Sure.
Okay, so it's a no-brainer. Just let her sit in the seat. Can I ask you something? Sure. How long you guys been together?
12 years.
Do you remember the first time you got together?
Yeah.
Do you remember how special that was? I remember my wife when we first got together in high school. There was something about her that meant something to me. And now I'm going home for a celebration of life for my wife. I wish I could give her my seat. And I can't. So what's important in life is the little things. You know, you can't, you don't want to go back and say, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. And I did everything for my wife. I just wish she was here. You know, I mean, going home to an empty bed is very hard. I sleep on her side of the bed now. And I just wish people would just take the time to think about that once in a while, because that's what's important in life. It's real. The struggle is real. You know, and you won't find that out until it's too late. And you don't want it to be too late. You know, I wish I would have spent more time with my wife before she passed. I didn't think she was going to pass. You always have hope. This is my wife. This is my wife. This is our wedding picture.
It's beautiful.
I just wish I could hold her and tell her how much I love her. Women are incredible, how they can have children. They carry a child for 9 months and then give birth and go through all this in their life. I could never do it as a man. And I'm just so thankful for it. You know,
oh, can you see why I saved this for last? Oh, man.
3 kids. I just wish. Look at how happy we were.
We have a beautiful family.
We are happy. And that's all you can do is draw upon all the good memories you have. That's why it's so important to take pictures. It's so important to hug with each other, tell each other how much you love them. You know, even if it's out of the blue, just grab your loved one and tell them what they mean to you. Because you're going to regret it one day. You don't want to regret it. You just don't want to regret it. All I have is these pictures to look at. I don't have a physical presence to hold on to. And it hurts, and I don't know what to do. Yeah, I put on a good front every day. I come to work. I love the people that I work with, and I'm so thankful. Because it keeps my mind off of it. But it's hard, man, sometimes. But you gotta keep it together for your kids. Not only your kids, but for yourself, and now I'm a grandfather. And all I want my wife to do is hold her grandchild. And she can't. And it hurts. It hurts so much. So what I'm saying to you guys is to love each other. I know how much you guys mean to each other. You know what I mean? Because that's what's important. All the little shit doesn't mean anything. And if you have a loved one, if you haven't hugged your mother lately, go hug your mother. If you have a grandparent, go hug them. Tell them what they mean to you. Because that's all we hope for as we get older. When you get to be my age, you start counting the years. What's happened in 10 years? Will I be here? Will my kids love me? Will they be here for me? So if you have loved ones, you make sure you go see them. And you go hug them, call them if you can't. Just tell them what they mean to you. Because that's what you're going to wish for when you get to be that age. Or if you need help. I see a veteran.
Ugh. Wow. There's no way I could have put that any earlier in the video. I'm like, wow. I really had to go pull myself together real quick. I guarantee you that couple is never going to forget that encounter. And, you know, he very well could have changed the outlook of their whole relationship. I think in our crazy, busy world that we live in today, it's really easy to lose sight of what is important. And we do tend to get caught up sometimes in arguments that don't matter about things that in the grand scheme of things don't matter. And if you lead with the idea that I love my partner, I love my family, and everything I do is an expression of that love, then you really can't go wrong. Thank you guys for coming back and hanging out with me again, and I will be back very soon. Until next time, stay prayed up and stay highly motivated.